So I'll be making my little one a pair of pants with lining because it's winter. So I've got this nice tracksuit lining, and it's very t-shirty. And then I'm using Shweshwe. It's nice and washed, so do pre-wash it before using it. Put some salt so that it doesn't run color. I love this color. And we are making for that little person over there. Hello. Say hello. Hello. So I'm going to use this as a pattern. It's an old pair of my nephew's track pants at 3 to 4 years. She's turning 3 at the end of the year, so it's a perfect length as far as I'm concerned. She'll grow into it. So I'm going to add some allowance to the waist because this one still has its elastic, though it's not strong. And I'm going to add more allowance here because I want it to be a bit baggy. So yeah, I'm going to show you that now. I've traced it out. I've added an inch over this side and another inch over this side for allowance because remember there's already gutter in there, or elastic. And then I added another allowance here because we're going to fold it in. This is the fabric. Remember, this one is already a finished product. Another reason we added allowance around, sorry, you won't, yeah. There, we added more allowance there. Remember, this is already sewn. So if you trace according to it, you're not calculating the part where you still need to sew. I also made it wider because I actually am going to be adding lining. So I want there to be freedom to move. So you've got your allowance all around. I've added more than 1.5 centimeters on this side, and then I added allowance for elastic. Remember, we're still folding here. This is the finished product, so you always are going to need extra allowance when you're doing this. So you can trace this if you want, and then when you're done, this is just the front. Now the front and the back are going to be different in this curve. This is the front curve, it's higher. The back curve will be lower. I will show you soon enough. So yeah, so there you have our front. And also if you look at this, there's the seam line, so you can see I've added quite a lot calculating from this point. Like I said, I want mine to be baggy. This is more tapered in, so I want hers to be baggy. And then I still followed the seam and then on the side, which is fine. So I just open it mostly on that side. And I just want to show you something quickly. So if you notice, I've actually made sure that there's still like some gap left in there for my fold, so that the elastic can run through. So there you have allowance for your elastic, and obviously this section will be overlocked or folded over. I don't have my serger overlocker at here, so I'll be folding over, and I don't need to actually do all that because I have lining. So we're gonna get to that soon enough. Sadly, I'm using white lining. I don't know what I was thinking with little kids, but but yeah, it was all I had. So yeah, let's move along. So as we discussed, as you can see, that is lower. Now the waistline at the back is higher. Also, it's kind of twisted. So as you can see, even when you fold it, it's lower because there's that pull from the front. So just don't compare that. But if we had to place the front aligned to that, you can see that the crotch of the back is lower. So that's how you always know that's the back, because the crotch will always be at a lower end. Anyway, let's carry on. So now we have the front and the back. Please remember that we're also cutting the lining on fold. Always right sides together because it makes it easier for you to do your markings on the inside. And also because you're going to be working mostly on the construction of the garment, you don't want any form of hand dirt that is transferred. Rather, it better be on the inside. Miss Thing over there is playing Baby Shark. So now, on the lining, we need to take away the elastic length on the hem as well as the waist. So I've made some markings on the waist, the same size as the elastic, as well as on the hem. Remember, this is for when we fold over the waist and hem, and we're going to put in the elastic to avoid a lot of bulking on the elastic areas. So if this is part of the elastic area, then it will give you a problem. The reason I've made it the same size as this is because, remember, we're still going to sew it, so it's going to make it a bit less. We're still going to sew it, and I did add sewing allowance when I was cutting the fabric, so you don't need to worry about that. So just take away, make sure, so when you are adding, you add the elastic plus allowance for sewing, right? I use 1 centimeter to sew, 1,5, sorry, and so I had put in an extra allowance of 1,5. So now I just simply put that and the elastic for this is smaller than the original tracksuit that I was using to copy this pattern from, so that means there's an extra allowance here. So if you are making from an already still sewn up finished garment your pattern, always remember to add allowance and calculate how much more allowance you need for your elastic. If you are lining it, this extra, you just need to add 1,5 on the original pattern, on the original finished product. So yeah. So the first thing we're going to sew is our crotch area. So we're going to, the back together, the back side, we're going to sew right there at a seam of 1.5. If you want, you can use 1 centimeter, and then we're going to sew, you know what, I'm going to do it 1 centimeter, and then you're going to sew right over there, just to give it a little more room for her to move. So yeah, so just give it a sew over there, and then a sew over there, the front on its, I mean the back on its own and the front on its own, and you do the same thing for your lining.